Tonight's meeting of the Capital Improvement Board for the City of Hammond for October 21st, 2024. If you please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Will the clerk call the roll, please?
Emerson.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Muta.
Here.
Prieto.
Here.
Rakos.
Here.
Salinas.
Here.
Button.
Here. Let the record reflect that the entire Capital Improvement Board is present. Next item on the agenda is consideration of the past meeting minutes. You should have received in your board packet a copy of the meeting minutes for October 7th, 2024, and the chair would entertain a motion for approval.
So move. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Muta, seconded by Councilman Salinas. Is there any discussion? Any discussion? Any discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Emerson.
Yes.
Moore.
Yes.
Muta.
Yes.
Prieto.
Yes.
Rakos.
Yes.
Salinas.
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries 7 in favor and no dissent. Next item on the agenda is a report on the work study session. We went long when we were discussing tonight's actions in front of the board, and no final decisions were made. Is there any other comment on the work study session? Item 6 is funding. Turn it over to our esteemed controller.
Thank you, Mr. President. You all should have received a report of the allocations made by this board in 2024. So to date, we have allocated a total of $9.9 million. You might as well call it $10 million worth of projects. 3.37 of that being reimbursable projects, so 80-20 matches or locally matched projects. So we're definitely utilizing all of the resources made available to us as much as possible to stretch our dollars as far as they can go. And I commend our engineer and President Dean Button very much for doing that. We have one action that is factored in to this amount, which is $174,000 that I will be removing from this report for our next meeting. We have found another funding source, and I believe Mr. President is going to speak to that once that item comes up on the agenda. We do not have a fourth quarter budget as of yet. We should anticipate that being factored into the budget summary in November, but as of right now, we have about $1 million of total unallocated funds.
Thank you for your fine report and your generous comments. Questions for Mrs. Moore? Thank you very much, Megan, for your report. Item number 7 is matters from mayor, council, and other departments. Is there anyone from those entities wishing to address the board? Anyone wishing to address the board? Seeing none. Item 8 is old business. Is there any old business to address? I see none. Item 9 is new business. Item 9A is funding allocation 212. Relocate 24-inch water main at Dowling Park storm sewer improvements with Grimmer Construction in the amount of $212,916.60. The chair would entertain a motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve. Second.
Moved by Commissioner Prieto, seconded by Councilman Salinas. Is there any discussion? So this is obviously to relocate a 24-inch water main that was found during the course of construction of our new 60-inch storm overflow from Dowling Park Pond. Was in direct conflict with the pipe and needed to be raised. We didn't expect the water main to be 9 feet deep as part of its crossing of the Foreman Expressway. So during the design, it was not factored in. The funds that are part of the federal match have been exhausted, and 100% of any change orders need to come to the city of Hammond. The engineering department reached out to the Hammond Water Department and requested that the water department share equally in the cost of this relocation, because it not only benefits the city, it also benefits the water department for adding additional valves or valve and maintain service to neighboring communities and customers. And therefore, the CIB portion of this funding allocation is, it turns out to be $106,458.30, which is half of the funding amount. The city of Hammond will be, and this capital improvement board would be reimbursed by the water department. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Emerson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Muda,
Yes.
Prieto,
Yes.
Rakos,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries 7 in favor and no dissent. Next item on the agenda is item 9B, a funding allocation 213, construction observation, Kennedy Road Diet with United Consulting in the amount of $604,100. Is there a motion to approve?
I make the motion.
Second.
It's been moved by Councilman Rakos, seconded by Councilman Salinas to approve the funding allocation. Is there any discussion? This represents 100% of the fee for construction observation for a federal aid project on Kennedy Avenue between 164th Place and the Indiana Toll Road. And it represents, it represents the full amount of that fee. Hammond, the city of Hammond is only responsible for the 20% match for the fee. The 80% will be reimbursed to the city from the Indiana Department of Transportation. So the CIB's effective amount to be approved is $120,820. So this is services to meet the federal requirement, NDOT requirement for observing the project. The project has been bid and awarded to Milestone, I guess they're calling themselves Milestone LP, and that we have a pre-construction conference this week with a project effectively starting in the spring. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Emerson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Muda,
Yes.
Prieto,
Yes.
Rakos,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries 7 in favor and no dissent. Next item is item 9C, a funding allocation 214 for Sportsplex traffic signal, construction engineering with Aegis BLN in the amount of $174,000 even. The chair wishes to withdraw this action, so no vote is requested. Next item on the agenda is item 9D, funding allocation number 215, Columbia Avenue reconstruction design from 170th Street to 173rd Street with First Group Engineering in the amount of $315,064 even.
Motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Muta, seconded by Councilman Salinas for the funding allocation. Is there any discussion? The City of Hammond in 2020 approached the Northwestern Indiana Regional Planning Commission and received a $2 million federal funding allocation for a greater project, right? We submitted on a project from 164th Place on Columbia Avenue to just inside the town of Munster limits. We asked for $6 million. They had $2 million available. We accept the lower amount, and we decided on doing the most prominent area, which is essentially, well, it's 170th to 173rd, which has a myriad of pedestrian-related concerns, as well as some improvements to the roadway condition. And so we focused on that area. This funding is commensurate with that level of effort. So essentially, the 315 is the standard expected engineering design fee for a federal aid project with a NEPA document required, following NDOT standards and following all the requirements related to those. The city of Hammond is has historically funded 100% of the design, and this is that amount. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Emerson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Muda,
Yes.
Prieto,
Yes.
Rakos,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries 7 in favor and no dissent. Item 9E is a funding allocation number 216, South Hammond Sub-Area Plan with HWC Engineering in the amount of $156,000. Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion. Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Prieto and properly seconded by Councilman Emerson, if I may. I heard two, and I would suggest it's Councilman Emerson for the funding allocation. Is there any discussion? This is a planning document that encompasses the area between State Line, Calumet Avenue, State Line to the west, Calumet Avenue to the east, 165th to the north, and the Little Calumet River to the south. There's concern essentially about new traffic resulting from the new South Hammond Gateway Station that could present problems to the overall neighborhood. So this, in effect, reviews the current and forecasted traffic in those areas using trip generations provided by NICD in their earlier plan. I want to say it's a 2016 plan of forecasted ridership. In addition, it looks at other planning activities contained within that area, which includes potential development in that area, trying our best to respect the neighborhoods to ensure that those neighborhoods are protected. This is recommended or blessed by the administration, and I would ask for your consideration. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Emerson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Muda,
Yes.
Prieto,
Yes.
Rakos,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries 7 in favor and no dissent. Thank the board. The next item on the agenda and the last item for new business is funding allocation number 217, rectangular rapid flashing beacon in the amount of $19,400. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Moved by Councilman Salinas, seconded by Commissioner Muta. Is there any discussion? I should have labeled the location in here, and what we're talking about is a new flashing beacon on Chicago Street at Johnson. Recent decisions made by the school city of Hammond to reduce bus service have caused children who live south of Chicago Street to walk to Lincoln School, which requires them to cross at Johnson. There is a high-intensity activated crosswalk at Torrance, but this seems to be a location that is preferred in light of the sidewalk and pedestrian system that gets us across the NICD tracks. And the Board of Public Works and Safety was approached by a representative that works for this Hammond school system, and we would like to install a rectangular rapid flashing beacon that can be found in your packet, or an example of can be found in your packet. And the second to the last page, we would include, in addition, doesn't not follow under this price, but we would also include as part of an outstanding agreement we have with TMC to stripe the crosswalk to make higher visibility. So this is to provide 2 rectangular rapid flashing beacons at the intersection of Chicago Street and Johnson. Is there any other discussion? Any other discussion? Roll call on the motion.
Emerson,
Yes.
Moore,
Yes.
Muda,
Yes.
Prieto,
Yes.
Rakos,
Yes.
Salinas,
Yes.
Button.
Yes, motion carries 7 in favor and no dissent. Thank you to the board for approving those actions. Is there any other new business? Hearing none, item 10 is public expression. Anyone in the audience wishing to address the board? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in the audience? Seeing none, the next regularly scheduled meeting for this board is November 4th, Monday, November 4th. At this time, I don't have actions, but inevitably they will come through. So please keep that date open. And if there's nothing further, the chair would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Commissioner Moore, seconded by Commissioner Muda. Is there any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.